What's up, fam? David here on the Alex Leba channel, and we just saw this movie. So we're here in my wonderful movie room with my awesome spinning shelves as the backdrop this time. Those are beautiful. Again, shout out to my brother. He may have intellectual issues in terms of being a full-grown adult, but he knows how to screw some wood together. So, love these shelves. Love my brother, despite how dumb he is.
There is no spoilers in this video until we tell you. We're doing it classic, pretty much it style.
Also, just a heads up, there are no spoilers in this review until the end, and we will warn you so you can watch this review and not worry about spoilers.
Then you guys could leave, go watch the movie, then come back if you want. You probably won't come back.
I wouldn't.
Dude, look who's calling. Should we have him join us for the video?
Oh, sure.
Why, hello!
No, I'm not doing that.
Okay. What's your initial, bam, credits, music playing, that great song by 21 Savage? Starts playing. What's the initial thought that hit you?
I don't know. I'm kind of mixed on it right now. I felt the same way after I saw Jigsaw and saw the final chapter. Like every Saw film that I've seen in the movie theater, except for when I saw, you know, the original Saw in the movie theater in 2014.
You know which ones I saw in the theater? All of them. I was probably your age in 2004, and that movie blew my mind. Because, you know, you gotta think, this was 2004. Sitting down at that first movie, when the end credits rolled, you all know the way it ends. When that, bam, that moment happened, the credits rolled, everyone in the theater was like, what? This was back in 04 when people still went to the movie theaters, so it was a very exciting time.
Well, I wasn't, like, absolutely blown away, like, this is the best Saw movie.
But you were very entertained?
Yeah, very entertained when watching it, interested in what was going on. I had, like, similar reactions to every Saw film I've seen in the theater. When I saw the final chapter, me, little middle school me, diehard Saw fan, going to see Saw the final chapter, and Dr. Lawrence Gordon slammed that door.
Fat dorky kid rolling into the theater. That must have been hilarious. You should have been blogging back then.
Yeah, I wish I would have.
Can you imagine how unwatchable your stuff would be if you were blogging at like 10 years old?
When the credits rolled to that movie, you know, I was confused about what I thought. I thought, like, something's not right. And yeah, that's the worst Saw movie, Saw 7. And then when the credits rolled for Jigsaw 7 years later, I was confused about how I felt about it because it was way different than I ever would have expected a Saw 8 to be. You know, after being such a huge Saw fan for all my life. I thought, yeah, okay, Jigsaw doesn't connect to anything. Jigsaw connected to so much. This movie, Spiral, literally connects to nothing.
That is the very definition of a spin-off. It spins off of the John story. I think we were both expecting to be way more humorous. The other ones have such a grim tone.
The first one had quite a few jokes in there.
Like, there are laughs, but it's not I wouldn't call those movies funny. There was more than just some laughs. Like, there were actual moments where I was sort of belly laughing. I wonder how much of that dialogue was improvised.
Just to let you guys know, I just saw the movie, so...
Yeah. We are literally fresh from the IMAX theater. By the way, what did you think of that IMAX screen? Wasn't it ba-bam?
So sweet. Yeah, the events of Jigsaw just happened, and then this movie acts as if Jigsaw never even happened, even though it's by the same writers.
The way I see it is these are parallel franchises. You could have a Saw 9 and then a Spiral 2.
That's never gonna happen.
Yeah, hey, everyone said the Snyder Cut would never happen, and look where we are, buddy.
They're never gonna pick up on what happened to Hoffman, and they're never gonna pick up on Dr. Gordon. If that ever showed up on Cary Elwes' desk, he'd just laugh his ass off and then just, like, throw it in the trash can. Like, I guarantee that people who, like, are involved with making the movie, like, when people say, like, oh, what happened to Dr. Gordon Hoffman? I guarantee they, like, just roll their eyes, like, we're moving on, who gives a shit?
Do you like that or do you hate that? Because this is the reason why people hated Zack Snyder's DC movies. Because he was like, we're moving on from the Superman's this great, super nice guy. We're moving on from that and doing something different. And I understand why people hate that, because people want every movie to be the same.
Okay.
I don't. I like when movies are different, they try something new. It may not work, but at least you're trying something new.
I think, as a Saw fan, I just don't really know what I want.
Darren Lynn Bousman will tell you what you want. Did you want more interconnectedness?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I feel like every Saw fan does, you know?
I mean, again, if this was Saw 9, yes. But it kind of is obvious that this was a spinoff. So to me, I kind of like the fact that it wasn't super intertangled with the old Saw movies. It's kind of like its own little thing.
I knew that was what it was going to be, obviously, going into it, and I kept trying to think, like, okay, you know, it's not...
Like, oh, maybe they're going to have a trick up their sleeve at some point.
Yeah.
Okay, I was thinking to him, like, in the back of my head, I was like, are they going to, like, come out of nowhere with some, like, super connected thing? And, you know, but they didn't do that.
I basically guessed the twist. It's kind of obvious. What I was thinking was, what else could it be?
Okay, so the motivation behind when you find out who is doing this, their motivation, did you see that coming?
No. I feel like we should save this for the spoiler section because we're talking around it, you know?
Sure, but I just want to say one thing about it. I don't know about you, but how I felt about who was being targeted and why, it kind of made me on the villain's side. Obviously, a killer is a bad person, so I wouldn't say I sympathized with the killer, although you kind of do. I liked the subject matter of what the movie was getting at. It reminded me a lot of Saw 6. Do you remember Saw 6? Like, same thing, who was being killed and why? I really liked that and agreed with that sentiment. Same thing with this one. Do you feel like the tone of the movie was very much in sync with the other movies, or did you feel that this had a different tone to it?
Oh, this definitely had a different tone. What do you mean?
The comedy aside, in terms of the story and how it's told and the editing and the sort of visuals, I felt that fit in perfectly with the rest of the franchise. One thing I noticed that like really stuck out, and I don't like this, you might, just because you're into aesthetics, same problem I had with Jigsaw. It looked way too polished and expensive and pristine. I like the grittiness of those other Saw movies, because this is like shot on digital, looks very clean, very sleek, and very expensive.
But there's like that's what they're trying to achieve. They're not trying to make it look like the other movies.
I'm not saying that's a flaw. I'm saying that's a choice they made that I don't like. In my opinion, I think all these movies should be shot on 16mm and look gritty and rough. It's beautifully shot. The cinematography's awesome. Everything looks nice and clean and expensive. Great production design. I don't like that for a Saw movie. I want it to be a little dirtier and grittier. I think that would fit better.
It's so weird because like it feels like bigger budget and like bigger,
yes. But it's not really.
But also not at the same time.
Yes, I would say 50% of the tone is Saw and 50% is a little something new. That's how what I would say. And again, the sleek look to it does make it look a little bit more like a regular cop movie.
All right, so spoiler talk. What was the moment that shocked you the most?
When you found out who was doing the killing, because I did not see that coming.
How did you not? I thought, okay, like, who could it be? It's not Chris Rock and it's not Sam Jackson. I was thinking to myself, it's either the woman police chief, that one asshole, or Chris Rock's partner. And
so if you were thinking it could be three people, then how did you know who exactly it was?
I kept thinking, like, it's either one of these three people, like it has to be, because those are the only characters they're focusing on.
I thought it was going to be someone out of left field who was connected to Chris Rock and his dad, Samuel Jackson. I thought it could have been somebody we hadn't been introduced to yet.
No. Why would they have done that? It had to have been one of the characters we've been following, because it's a whodunit.
I mean,
why would it just be some random-ass person?
Because that would have been way more of a surprise. Not random, but somebody directly connected who we just hadn't heard of yet. I thought that could have been a possibility. But I think the movie is better for having gone with a slightly more predictable choice.
I just wish there was more in there, like more characters to suspect. Because like there's only
more red
a few
herrings.
to suspect.
Yes. That's sort of the only flaw of the movie. Is that there's not enough red herrings.
And then after the partner character dies, like we don't see his death.
Yeah, that was a little fishy. I'm like, well, I guess he's dead. They got a chunk of his skin. So like that was sort of a good little way to sort of trip you up a little bit. But it wasn't fully convincing yet because you never see a body. It's kind of obvious. It's not like that's not amazing writing. Yeah. But again, we're not going to these movies for like Sorkin-esque writing. You know, we're not going for game-changing storytelling. We're going for fun.
I am.
You would. That's the thing that bothers me with criticisms from a lot of fanboys, especially when it comes to like big franchise stuff. I feel like a lot of people are sitting there with like logic checklists when they're watching the movie and like, well, this doesn't make sense and that wouldn't. It's like, just shut up and enjoy it. I'm not really concerned about micromanaging every detail of a movie.
I think they could have revealed who the killer is better. Like Chris Rock just walks in and he's just standing there, you know? Like if he would have made some like revelation flashbacks of like certain things and then like him figuring out like, oh shit, and then like he kicks open the door and he's standing there It would have been epic, but like he just like walks in and there he is.
The reveal wasn't super dramatic.
Yeah, it wasn't. Like I wish they would have like made it that better, like through editing. I feel like that would have been easy.
I was thrown off by the red herring of like the Saw tapes being a woman's voice. It sounded feminine.
A lot of people didn't like the new Jigsaw voice. I thought it was fine. I liked it. Like it sounded like almost neutral. Like it could be a man or a woman.
And that's what I liked about it. It wasn't like, trying hard to be, scary and sinister and creepy. It was just like, this is unpleasant, but not in like an overbearing, creepy way.
Yes, that's a good way to put it.
It sounded more psychotic than scary. At one point, there's a trap in the police station. You're like, okay, how the hell could a random stranger or killer get access to a police station? So it does make a lot of sense that, it's a fellow cop.
The very end of the movie was very awesome and epic.
Yes, the last scene is like, it has that classic Saw feel where like everything's happening at once and you're just like, holy shit. The moment that they chose to bring in the classic Saw theme was like the best moment. Like they didn't overuse it. They didn't sprinkle it here and there. They saved it for a great moment.
They used some of the cues at one.
Yes, you get a little flavor of it early on, but when the theme kicks in, it's at the perfect moment and it's like, hell yes, we are in Saw world.
Yeah, exactly. And then like, of course, like my heart was pounding. I was like, yes, right when that.
Oh yeah, he was fidgety as hell in the movie. He was like, oh my god, oh Jesus, oh Lord. Oh.
Seeing an ending like that again, flashing back, end credits, I'm just like...
Yeah, very satisfying.
Yeah, I do wish there was a moment to where like we see him talking like as the voice, like but as him, like kind of like how in the original Scream, to where Billy had the voice change and he's like, "What's the matter, Sidney?" The one problem I have with it is that they didn't like explain like why this had to be Jigsaw related. Like why he had to like connect this stuff to Jigsaw. Oh wait, so it could be a Saw movie. Oh wait, so they can make money. This could have been just some random movie where he like killed a bunch of cops in certain ways.
Why is he killing people in the Saw style, right? Why is he copycatting Jigsaw? I have a feeling we'll get an answer to that in a sequel. I think he is connected to John somehow.
He's not.
Or his dad was.
Nope, nothing is connected to John. Like
you never know.
They would have put it in this movie. There's only one mention at the end about like why it's connected to John. He just said John Kramer was right. It's like
he's like, inspired by him.
Yes, but that's
not what a copycat is.
It's not fleshed out why he's inspired by that.
The same reason we like the Saw franchise. It's something I meant to say in our like video when we were talking about the whole franchise as a whole, is like it's sort of that idea of forcing people to confront the shitty things they've done and have actual consequences for it. That's the big draw of this franchise, right? So I could see somebody being inspired by John and saying like, he's right, what he's doing is right, that's the only way you're going to get people to change and be better humans, is do this. So like, that's what a copycat killer is. It's like, hey, I liked what that guy was doing, I like how he killed people, I like why he killed people, I want to do the same thing. Again, yeah, you're right, it didn't have to be a Saw movie. This could have been a standalone movie not related to Saw at all, but people would have been like, what's with all the traps? That's kind of like Saw. So might as well make it a Saw movie anyway.
Yeah, but like, if you're going to make it a Saw movie, have it connect to something. Jigsaw like distanced itself, but at the same time kind of didn't, because it still took place like in the Saw timeline. I don't really see that much of a point to have the Saw name stamped on it.
It doesn't. It's called Spiral.
From the Book of Saw.
Which is a perfect name if you're doing a spinoff.
I'm talking like I didn't like it, which I really did. I didn't.
You wanted more interconnectedness with the stories you liked.
Yeah.
Just because it's not there doesn't mean the movie's flawed.
Do you think the tone was like uneven, how it was like something serious and then like a joke part?
No, the tone of it wasn't super silly or jokey. It didn't feel awkward transitioning from like the gruesome horror stuff to the funny stuff. It felt very sort of natural.
I'm gonna say like what a lot of other people have said in reviews. Chris Rock was really good.
Yeah.
Of course, obviously Sam Jackson was really good. I wish he was in the movie more.
Do you think Chris Rock delivered 100% on some of the emotional scenes? You can tell like this isn't the kind of acting he does all the time.
Yes.
But none of it was bad acting.
Yes.
It was just like, I can tell you mostly do comedy.
Could you think of any like holes in it to where like it like wouldn't make sense with certain things?
Yes. The one thing that I'm just like, okay, that seemed a little bit too far-fetched is the whole setup of the trap in the basement of the police department. Like nobody noticed he was setting up all that shit down there. Like, okay, that was a little bit of a stretch. Other than that, no, there isn't too many like big gaping plot holes or stuff that doesn't connect or make sense. Like it's a pretty tight movie. 90 minutes, you don't have a lot of room to like screw things up. You kind of got to get to the point.
I think I'm going to give Spiral a B+.
Maybe 6.5, 7 out of 10, B+ area. And again, the killer's motivation is something that draws on real life. Things we've all seen in the news lately. So it's like, yeah, you're talking about something real.
I had some issues with it that I discussed.
Those are more like minor gripes.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call those big issues. Hey, here's a movie that describes your life. A fat wreck. Your whole life is just one big fat wreck.
Yeah. Anyway, that's going to be it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for checking this out.
Why are you standing?
I don't know.
What a weirdo. Why do you people watch this channel? This is what you're choosing to do with your time? Is to watch this doofus? Well, whatever.
Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Labonimus, and add me on Snapchat at Label with 5 A's. Add him on Snapchat at Dawn of Dave, and he'll add you back. He posts a lot of funny crap.
So yeah, I post mostly about movies. I will post about my political views every now and then. So if you're offended by that, go fuck yourself. Like, we're all different. We all have different opinions. Not a big deal. Grow up. Be an adult.
Alright, guys. Go fuck yourselves. Say bye, David.
Bye. Go fuck yourselves.
Okay, let's not do that. Everything comes crashing down like in one of those funny movies.
And then your life ends.
Would you actually kill me if that happened?
I don't know. I've never been that mad. Let's not find out.
I've been that mad before, but I've never hit anybody.
Not me. Okay, in terms of losing your temper, I learned my lesson the hard way with that. Like, cut my arm open when I was a kid because I was so mad I punched a window. I was mad at my older brother for something. When I got mad, I was like, no, and I punched the door, but there was a big glass pane in the door. And all of a sudden, I put my arm down. I'm like, why does this feel all warm and wet? And blood was just like, squirting out of my arm. I was like, it's running downstairs. And my sister opened the door and just sees me blood squirting out of my arm. She's like, oh my God. And like, luckily my parents were still home. They were like literally about to leave. I would have bled to death because my retarded family wouldn't have known how to. So my parents like wrapped a towel around my arm and held it up. And my mom was so nervous she called 411 instead of 911. And I'm like, no, it's 911, Mom. I'm like, tell them to hurry. I'm going to die. Like, I literally had my arm over the sink and blood was just like filling the sink. It was crazy. You could see my tendons. Like, your tendons look like metallic straws. They're very odd looking. But yeah, this whole part of my arm was flapped open and bleeding. So like...
Perfect story for a Saw review.
Yeah. So I was like, what, 10 years old? Ever since then, I've been as cool as a cucumber. I don't lose my temper anymore. I learned my lesson the hard way, so...